Welcome back to another Big Sis Advice video. But the sponsor of today's video, and they sponsored me before, I talked about them loads of times before, and something that I like to mention in every video, regardless of the question, I usually kind of the same topic comes up of self-pleasure and self-love, and I really advocate for I don't even think it's an indulgence, but I just think that it should be part of your self-care routine, self-knowledge, learning about yourself, learning about your body and being in tune with your body, especially for women. There are few and far between places we can go online where we feel safe, where it's legal, where it's ethical, and that there's inclusive representation, which Cheeks has. And Cheeks is a subscription-based sexual wellness platform with sexual entertainment and sexual education videos, audios, blogs. There's a magazine on there and workshops. Obviously you can use it to enjoy all on your own if you're wanting to explore what you like, because a lot of times when you're exploring your sexuality, it's hard to find out what you like. Cheeks can help with that. You can watch it on your own, or you can watch it with a partner. Whereas you're gay, straight, non-binary, anything you can think of, Cheeks has it. It's very inclusive to all different body types, genders, sexualities. There's something on there for everyone, and I really advocate again for self-pleasure and self-love, which we will be talking about today in today's video. So I want to say a big thank you to Cheeks for sponsoring this video. If you want to get a 14-day free trial to use Cheeks for yourself, you can use the code KeelinCheeks online when you choose a yearly subscription, and you can cancel that subscription anytime you want, and it's for new customers only and for a limited time. Get it while it's hot, and porn websites, it can be a bit jarring and disturbing, whereas Cheeks is a safe space, and that's why I like it so much. So I really recommend using it if you want to explore your sexuality or just your body in general, or if it's something you're interested in, again, and it will be linked down in my description. So thanks again, Cheeks, for sponsoring this video. How to still love the people around you whilst knowing you've changed, outgrown. I think this is a really poignant issue amongst young people, especially entering like your mid to late 20s, and something that you have to accept is that you're not going to have all the same friends that you have now in a few years time. People come and go, people move away, people emigrate, and again, people grow up, change and evolve and move apart. Not to say that you won't have friends where you can grow together, or you can grow and be different people but still love each other unconditionally. That happens as well. Usually once you get older, it's kind of like a preservative, preserving yourself, preserving your energy, protecting yourself. When you get older, you just don't feel the need to have such a wider group of friends. It's like you prefer a smaller group with closer connections. That's what I do. Personally, I do anyway. I don't know if anyone else who's around my age or maybe older, like what your take on that is. You don't have the time or energy to be hanging out with people that aren't like on the same wavelength as you, and that's nothing bad. It's nothing bad to do with them. It's nothing bad to do with you either. It's just that you're protecting yourself and protecting your energy, and you could be using that valuable time elsewhere, or with making other connections, or strengthening your connections with your friends that you do bounce off of better. I suppose you just need to decide whether, even if you have outgrown each other or changed, do you still find the value in the friendship? Because a lot of times the value of a friendship isn't for their kind of like personality traits, but it's like what the middle ground is between you two. So if that has changed, you can both change, but as long as the relationship between you two has stayed the same, I think you can withstand any sort of obstacles in terms of outgrowing each other. But it's just, you have to decide whether it's going to be worth it or not to stay together or like love each other as much. But you don't have to stay friends with people just because you have a history together, and I think that's really toxic as well, like just to stick by each other when you don't necessarily like each other. Being with your friends through thick and thin is really important in sustaining a relationship and a friendship and a bond with someone, because people have their ups and downs obviously, but if you genuinely don't like them, you need to reevaluate the friendship. Okay, realizing I don't know myself, what, who I like or enjoy. How do you get to know yourself? We have such an urgency to like categorize ourselves or label ourselves in a certain way, where it's like, I'm a horse girl, I'm a clean girl, it's like I'm this type of girl, and you can get consumed by that idea where you need to put a label on yourself and know what type of person you are, so that people can put you in a box, but more so that you can put yourself in a box. It feels like there would be clearer answers on what choices you should make and the decisions you should make, but everyone is kind of in the same boat. No one knows who they are, which is kind of like, it's a human nature to copy each other, because we're kind of like sheep, formate societies no matter what situation we're in. So we rub off each other, we start to emulate other people's behaviors and stuff. It's like kind of a, what you call the evolutionary coping mechanism. But that doesn't mean that you have to really know who you are. Knowing what you enjoy and knowing what you don't enjoy, and the fact that you can differentiate between the two pretty clearly. So what makes you uncomfortable, what makes you uncomfortable, what motivates you, what doesn't motivate you. And the only way to find out those things is to try everything. Sometimes it can be hard to know what you enjoy because you're paralyzed by choice. There's so many choice of things that you can try. And I know for myself with ADHD, I take up hobbies all the time, and if I'm not like good at it immediately, I tend to give it up. Whereas there's things that I always go back to because I know how it makes me feel, and it makes me feel calm and serene, and not because I'm necessarily good at it or like it's one of my values, but just because it makes me feel nice. Not all hobbies you have to be really good at to enjoy. You have to pay attention to how it makes you feel. And a good way to do this is by meditating. You can sorry. If you meditate, it's a really good way to acknowledge your thoughts or acknowledge your passing thoughts and just allowing things to enter in without kind of any external influences. So I would recommend trying that. I don't know if there's a particular meditation for that, but just like any sort of mindfulness meditation really helps with that and acknowledging your thoughts. I've had some of my best revelations, epiphanies come from when I'm doing absolutely nothing. When I'm not looking for an answer, necessarily doing anything, but I'm just sitting there and thinking. It could be like when I'm cleaning, or it could be when I'm cooking, but most of the time it's literally when I'm kind of allowing yourself to feel bored or staring out the window, which is why now when I'm on public transport, I just like look out the window, because sometimes you get the best ideas, best thoughts. You learn so much about yourself because you're essentially having a conversation, or you're having internal dialogue, and you're allowing yourself to, because you're not feeding yourself distraction all the time, because there's so much distraction in the world around. Being on your phone, watching TV, it's like we need constant entertainment and distraction to keep us away from our thoughts. So I think knowing yourself a little bit better, or knowing what you like or who you like, you need to literally talk to yourself in your brain, in your head. How to get out of a depression set. Imagine I was like, guys, just go for a walk. I thought of drinking some water, getting out of bed, you fucking lazy cunt. If I'm ever in a depression set, I try to motivate myself from bed. So usually this is like watching other YouTubers that I like, calling a friend, phone a friend, go on Pinterest. Sometimes you do just have to wallow and stew in whatever that negative energy is and get it out of your system. Do the things that make you feel nice. Whatever you do, do not, it's so much easier said than done, do not lay in your bed and scroll on TikTok for hours and hours and hours on end, because you will feel fucking terrible afterwards. So that's the best advice I could give. Just don't be scrolling on your phone for hours and hours and hours on end, because you will regret it. It will really exacerbate the situation. Then if you're feeling up to it, try take a shower, write down all your feelings in a journal or on a piece of paper, cook your favorite meal. Like, you don't have to talk to anyone if you don't feel like it, but sometimes talking to your favorite person can really help the situation. If your parents are unsupportive, maybe try to avoid them, because sometimes they can make it feel so much worse too. God bless them. They're trying their best, but sometimes they can make it a lot worse. I hope you feel better soon. Obviously, I'm not a psychologist, so if you are going through deeper depressive states, call a helpline. Manic depressive, clinically depressed, do seek help. Do seek professional help. I unfortunately do not have the qualifications to help you with that, so you do need to seek professional help. But I'm talking about here, it just seems like depression set is kind of lighthearted, more like a big sad sort of. I don't mean like actual depression. That is obviously a lot more serious. Love my BF, but infuriates me that he's so dependent on his man for everything, both 22 years old. I don't even have any advice for this other than run as fast as you can. I've observed this from other relationships. I've experienced this for myself. You will inevitably turn into their mom. Do you want that? And especially if he's getting defensive if you're bringing it up in conversation and he's getting defensive. His mommy's washing his undies. Are you joking? Are you 22 years of age? No. A man who can't cook a meal, a man who can't do his own laundry, and his mammy does everything for him, is going to expect you to teach him everything. That in itself is fucking exhausting. It is not your job to teach him how to literally look after himself and wipe his own arse. Good night, Irene. How to stand up for yourself without feeling like an unkind, selfish person. I've reached a point in my life where I want to start putting myself first and stopping a pushover with friends. You will get to a stage, like, I could give you as much advice as possible. I could be going on for hours and hours and hours on end, and you could agree with everything I say, but inevitably you are just going to go with whatever you feel most comfortable with, because it sounds like you need to find the courage yourself. In whatever that way that is, I hope you find it. This seems like something that has been bothering you for a while. I know for myself as well, you could take, this is like when your friend is in a relationship with a horrible person. You keep saying over and over and again, you break up with them. Break up with them, it's not worth it. It's on the tethering the line of emotional abuse right now. You need to end it. At the end of the day, they're only going to end it when they feel the time is right for themselves, regardless of how much advice they've been getting off the people around them. But you have to support that as well, and you have to, you know, encourage it and not be like, I fucking told you. It's the same sort of situation. I could go on and on and on, give you advice and be like, your life is going to run past. But another thing I'll say is, I have made so many mistakes in my life. I've made so many mistakes in my life that I should be really ashamed of. And the only reason that I would feel ashamed of it if I let other people affect me. But the only thing I do regret is opportunities that I never took for myself, or I never put myself first. That is the only thing you will regret when you grow up. That is my only advice to you. You won't regret putting yourself first. Sometimes, guys, sometimes you have to step on a few toes. It's Love Island, not Friend Island. Am I right? I think take the plunge. It is an element of self-care in that as well. You need to put yourself first sometimes. I'm sorry, but you do. Even if your friends are, I don't know what the context of this is, but if your friends are holding you to that much of a high standard and they're going to be that pissed off at you, they're not really that good friends to begin with. But even so, they might be a bit pissed for a while, and you realize it's not as bad as you are anticipating or as you're imagining in your head. We always think things are going to be 10 times worse than they actually are. I'm finding it really difficult to do my own thing rather than go with the flow with my peers. This is the same thing. You're going to really regret doing that and copying everyone else just because they wanted to do it. If they are really good friends, they'll want the best for you. So they both kind of apply to each other, those two questions. And I really hope, from the bottom of my heart, from your big sis, I hope that you go for it, because it is your life. It's now or never. Oh yeah, I didn't have any advice for this, I just thought it was funny. I basically get the ick from my mum. I just like can't stand being around her. I'm not always sure why. I think this actually, or maybe I do have some advice. I think this actually stems from, obviously sometimes when we look at our parents and we don't really like them that much, we're really scared of turning into them. So I think that you get the ick from your mum, or you dislike your mum randomly sometimes, is because you dislike something. Whatever you see in her, you dislike that in yourself, and you're really scared that that's how people in the rest of the world perceive you too. That's my take on it. So it's something that you have to heal within yourself. How to deal with really bad fights in a relationship. When I've gotten in big arguments and like the relationship is still worth saving afterwards, obviously, and you want to stay with them forever, I really recommend without speaking, without talking, a tantric hug together for 5 to 10 minutes, being really affectionate with each other but not speaking, because sometimes you just need to have an emotional connection without communicating. After having a big fight, you both want to be healed. It's like two adults fighting with each other, but inside there's two children crying to be held and looked after. So you have to heal that part of yourself on the inside, like the part of yourself that's the child wanting some love, like this, you know, touch foreheads, wrap your legs around them, snuggle in, 5 to 10 minutes. You could end up crying to each other, but as long as you're just touching and not speaking, but it's a good reassuring way to let them know that you love them still, and you can telepathically send them some messages. Anyway, some chemicals go off in the brain from hugging. What are your opinions on staying friends with someone because it's easier than arguing? No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. End the friendship. How to build a good mother-daughter relationship. You have to sometimes let go of the past. As a daughter myself, with a tendency to blame things on my parents a lot, once you get older, and now that I'm becoming a mother as well, I become a lot more forgiving. So I'm like, Jesus, it's really hard to be a parent. You have to kind of remember that your parents were once children who are now just grown up but are still hurt children on the inside. They are human, and this is their first time experiencing life just like you. Sometimes it can be frustrating because boomers especially are really ignorant to like learn, ignorant to like change their ways, or always think that, oh, you have it so fucking easy compared to me, even though like pain is relative and like every generation has a new obstacle to overcome. And I hope I never say that to my daughter and be like, you have it so fucking easy. Like, I want her life to be as easy as possible. It's like, why are you begrudging me because I have a good life? Did you not want that for me as a child? So yeah, you have to let go of the resentments, grudges that if you're holding any, to start telling them things as well. Like, I had such a good relationship now with my mom because I like call her to tell her things, and also asking for help, because sometimes when you start to become an adult, they feel like they're not needed anymore, not wanted. And it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, don't start calling them and be like, can I have €1,000? I mean, calling them and just being like, do you know how to do this thing? Like, it's something to do with the washing, or, you know, cooking something. Because it's nice to feel needed and wanted as a parent, especially if they've like, you've moved out of home. I'd love if my daughter was calling me after she'd moved out, asking me how to do the ironing or something, even though I don't even iron, but you know what I mean? Maybe I might soon. Randomly FaceTime me and want to tell me about her day as well. Little things like that. You have to be open up to them, especially when you become an adult, because there's slightly more friendship, as well as there will always be the parent-child dynamic, but it just evolves a bit once you get older. What's something you want all young women to know? Women are so much stronger than you think. I think we're constantly told and forced to believe that we're sensitive and dramatic and we make a big deal out of everything. Realistically, we're actually underestimating the amount of pain we go through and the amount of suffering. We're underplaying it constantly. So we're actually a lot more resilient and stronger than we think. I'd like young women to be nicer to themselves. It's much easier to be nicer to the people around you if you are nice to yourself, because you have a lot more compassion for like humans in general. If you have no respect for yourself, I think it is probably harder to have respect for other people too. If you start like being compassionate and graceful with yourself, it's much easier to be compassionate and kinder to others. If you want to be a better person, just start with yourself. 27 and absolutely no idea what career to pursue. That's fine. That's literally fine. Probably small town mentality to be like, you have to have everything figured out by the time you're 25. You have to have a house and fucking 4 kids and be engaged and have a career set for you. Whereas if you go to other parts of the world, you'll realize like people are at their own pace. And the only reason you're comparing yourself or thinking that you're behind is because you're comparing yourself to things you see on the internet, which is just like unrealistic and unattainable. But literally relax. If you're enjoying yourself, that is what matters. If you fucking hate your job, if you hate your college course, there are other options. You don't have to stick with something just because you're going to disappoint the people around you. The most important person in your life is yourself. And if you're not happy, if you're dissatisfied, change something about it. As humans, we have so many options. There's endless options to do things. If you're not happy or you're discontent with something in your life, you do have the ability to change it. Stop stressing yourself out. You will figure it out. Try out a few things. How to help a sibling who is depressed. Please leave anonymous. Okay, make sure that you're not identifying them as like you are depressed and that's the only thing they have. Remind them that they do have other personality traits, because sometimes it is an all-consuming disease. They don't want to be defined by that either, and it can be so easy for family members to just be like, they're depressed, and that's all that's said about them. Whereas obviously everyone is multifaceted and I'm sure they have other traits. They're not just depressed. To not put too much pressure on them. This is just from what I've found from my own experience. I'm not even the best at this, because my immediate reaction to things is like, how do I pay to make this better? Once I offered my sister an iPhone because she was going through a hard time. I was like, do you want me to buy you an iPhone? And another time I texted her, one of them was going through a breakup, and I texted her and I was like, I'm not really good at emotional support at this time right now, but I can do this, A, B, C, D. And she said that made her feel better. I was like, I can offer to fly you out to London. I can do this for you. I can do this for you. I can do this for you. But I'm not going to be great at the emotional support. So see what your strengths are and work to that. But also be honest. What do you need from me? And I can let you know if I can actually do it. Because sometimes if you're trying to force yourself to be an emotional support and you're not good at emotional support, it can make them feel a lot worse. For example, me being like, have you tried going for a walk and drinking some water? Like sometimes things can come out like that, and it can be really, really ignorant and like the worst thing you can say to someone who is depressed. So play at your strengths, know what you're good at. You could be really good at being affectionate, being around for someone. You could be really good at baking and you can like bring them up baked things. It's good to let them know that you were there for them regardless. And as well, the thing is with having a depressed sibling, a lot of times they want to be isolated, they want to be on their own, they want to tell you to fuck off, they might be mean to you, but you have to let them know that, okay, I know you're going through a hard time, but I'm going to be here for you anyway. If you don't want to meet up with me, that's fine. Don't be like, oh, you're so annoying because you're not leaving the house, like let's do stuff together. Don't be mad at them, don't be angry at them, be patient, and just let them know that you are around if they need you, because they will reach out for help when they feel ready. Just make sure that they know that you love them unconditionally, regardless of their behavior or like how bad that it gets. I think I'm in love with my best friend. What do I do? Tell them. I just changed college course, but I'm so lost. Any advice on finding what I really want? I think it's annoying that it's not like the same as the American system where you can do loads of subjects and then major in whatever you like. It's like you have to pick your course already. I wish that because obviously I dropped out 3 times. I tried 3 different courses. I wish that I just waited until I was 23, because I feel like I would have been able to make such a more valuable decision for myself, because I knew what I wanted a lot more and I knew myself a lot more at that age rather than straight out of secondary school. But the only reason I wanted to go straight into college is because of like pressures from people around me, or like feeling left out, or wanted to be on par with my peers. And then I ended up feeling like more of a fuck fuck up because I didn't like what I was doing. So you don't have to like force yourself to do things just because you're anxious about being on track with everyone else. My best advice would be like, wait, be patient with yourself and wait until like the sign comes to you. Usually if you want to do it if you're thinking about it for more than 3 weeks, more than a month, and you're looking into it a lot more, and then you can see a 5-year plan from it, then usually it's a good idea. Sometimes I would just get impulsive ideas in my head and I'd just be like, this is a great one, just because I saw someone on like Instagram doing it, or like I watched a YouTube video of someone else doing it and I was like, this is what I've always wanted to do. I just like convince myself that it's something I love as well. So make sure that you're taking a lot of time to think about it and try to block out the noise from everyone else. How to maintain friendships after moving to college / moving away. Be patient with your friends, because sometimes, again, everyone has their own lives. Sometimes you can feel a bit neglected, or you can start to get FOMO. I don't want you to start building resentments or starting fights with your friends, because your time when you are speaking together is so much more valuable now that you're far apart. Make sure that you make the effort to like FaceTime them more, tell them about what's going on, sending voice notes so it's a bit more like intimate rather than just text. Hearing someone's voice when you're far apart from them can really make you feel like you're still together, or you're a bit closer than just, or like phone calls obviously as well, but sometimes your schedules might not match up. So that's how I maintain friendship. Like I talked to Emer every single day when I lived in London, and our friendship is exactly the same as to when I wasn't in London. How to self-care. Self-care, obviously, I think it's dependent on the person. Self-care for me would be acknowledging the things that I know are damaging me and make me feel bad. For example, scrolling, endlessly scrolling, staying in all day, isolating myself, not taking the time and energy to cook myself a nice meal. They're all bad things that I do. So then usually the self-care part is to do the opposite. Try to limit your screen time, journaling, talking to yourself, meeting up with a friend, going for a walk, spending time in nature, lying down on grass. Like, you know, if you see your dog and you bring them for a walk and you let them off the lead and they start rolling around in the grass. I feel like humans sometimes need to do that, but everyone's like, no, I'm a bit shy. I shouldn't do it. Sometimes we just need to roll around on a bit of grass. Find out what your energy givers are and what makes you feel nice, and start doing more of that as your self-care. Make sure that you're doing it when you feel good as well, because you have to kind of constantly maintain it rather than being like, oh, I feel great now, I can stop doing it. You have to keep doing it. Kind of therapy, you know, you don't get cured all of a sudden after 6 sessions. You have to kind of keep doing it to maintain the same balance, central balance. Do you find it hard to be authentic online? I get caught up in how people perceive me. To be honest with you, and I have been told before that I'm very authentic and transparent. I try to be as authentic and transparent as possible, because I don't want to come off as like a big facade, or like for people to meet me in real life and be like, who? And also I find it very difficult to not be myself. Do you know that kind of way? Let me remind you, everyone on the internet is kind of putting out a version of themselves, a censored version, curated version of themselves, because they want to be perceived in a certain way. And sometimes that can be exhausting. Don't be putting yourself under too much pressure, because most of the time, even the most authentic, transparent people are putting up a slightly skewed version of themselves on the internet than what they are actually like in real life, because it's kind of a protection thing, and also we've just been conditioned that way to be like, you have to be the most pristine vision of perfection, otherwise you're a piece of shit. I wouldn't get too worried about it. And again, like social media, it doesn't matter. If you're really worried about how people perceive you, just like don't post. It's not a big deal unless it's how you make money. It literally doesn't matter at all. Why do men stay with women when he likes someone else? I know so many guys that like flirt with girls and be like, oh, I fancy you so much, and they have girlfriends, and it's like, ew! Do you think that's a good chat-up line or something? Or like, what are you trying to actually get out of the situation? And then you see them the next day and they're with their girlfriend, they're like, I love you so much. Oh, it's horrific. It's actually disgusting, and it's so embarrassing and cringy. How to stop hating someone / let things go. Usually hating someone and holding on to resentments is only damaging you. People think hating someone is like protecting yourself, or like sending negative energy to them because you hate them so much, where it's actually holding on to hate in your heart, not letting things go, is only damaging yourself. Usually the person that you hate like doesn't know or doesn't care that you hate them. It's not affecting them at all. So it's better to just let things go, because you're gonna get wrinkles. You're gonna turn into a wrinkly old bag. Fear of leaving all pets, family to go to college, travel. How to not let that hold me back. Nothing terrible is going to happen while you're gone. You need to live your life. Pets come and go, family come and go. Pets do come and go. Obviously they have a shorter lifespan than family do. I found it really difficult. Like, I was fucking crying when I moved out of my dad's house and I lived there for like 3 months because of Peanut. I'm pathetic. She lives 45 minutes away and I'm like sobbing over my dog. It is going to be hard regardless of the situation. You get over it. They're pets. And they're very adaptable. And I know they're really excited when they see you, because every time I go over she pisses on me. And I know she loves it. It's how she shows that she loves me. I was under the impression that she's there sitting there depressed every day, like thinking where I went. And that's just not how they work. She's literally just like, food, 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 walk, 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 sleep, 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 shit, shit, shit. That's all that runs through her head. And then she remembers me once she sees me. Now, family on the other hand, see, the thing is with the family, you can put them on the fucking blower. You can call them up and say, hello. Okay, moving in with a partner in your 20s and making it work, you need so much better communication. Also, you need to make the effort to actually spend decent quality time together, and that you're not just like existing next to each other, because it can be so easy to just get into bed, scroll, 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 get into bed, watch, watch, watch. Telly, telly, telly. How was your day? Blah, blah, blah. Very repetitive. Make sure that you're doing something new every single day. Whether it's like a new sex position or trying up a new dinner. They make the starter, you make the main course. It doesn't have to cost money. You don't have to be going on dates every day. But make sure that you're spending decent quality time together and trying new things together. It's so important. That is it for the video. Thanks so much for watching, you sexy legends. And I hope you enjoyed. I love you all so much. Okay, bye. And don't forget to... Cheeks is linked in the description. The code is KeelinCheek for a 14-day free trial. I hope you enjoy. I love you.